Guitar Dads Podcast, the podcast for guitar dads by guitar dads. This week, we reverse the burst. So who's jonesing for this guitar? Matt's face turns green with the price of another guitar. Are these boys back in black? Is Sammy running with the vocal devil? And we're firming up our helixes. Are users really stomping on this week on the Guitar Dads Podcast. Now, the dudes who have no business modeling anything but tones, Matt and Dave.
Hello, everybody. I'm Matt.
And I'm Dave, and welcome to a special live edition of the Guitar Dads Podcast. If you're listening to this one when like later on, we are broadcasting this live on Facebook. And if you are live on Facebook right now, thanks for joining. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to reply to comments and questions and all that stuff too, while we're kind of just doing a regular episode. But
that's right.
Matt, what you got?
We're going to get to kind of lift behind the curtain. You can see what it's like recording an episode here. This is how it's done. So we're post-Thanksgiving. We're recording this on Black Friday, which we'll talk about.
Post-Thanksgiving, which explains a lot.
Post-Thanksgiving, we will get into some Black Friday gear deals for sure. It's always a hilarious time to see what's out there, especially from Guitar Center.
Yep.
But there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot going on in the music world, guitar world. So let's get into it.
There's a ton. There's a ton. There's like so I just want to quickly say, thank you to all our loyal listeners. We really appreciate you guys. Yeah, jumping in every single week and checking us out. We appreciate it. And if you're joining us for the first time, thank you. We hope you enjoy the podcast. This is, again, a different one, but, hopefully it's the same kind of content we get to deliver to you each week. Please come back for more. You can check us out at Guitar Dads Podcast over on Facebook, where we're streaming this live right now, and at Guitar Dads Podcast on Instagram. And by the way, if you were a follower on Instagram, you saw our recent collaboration with Copper Sound pedals. We just gave away. They were very gracious enough to take one of 50 pedals that they made as a 7th anniversary Foxcatcher edition, the limited edition. Just to kind of celebrate, they kind of reversed the colors. It was very cool. So it was like a white enclosure with the copper kind of writing on it.
Yeah, very cool.
Text and graphic. It was very, very cool. And Matt, who won that?
The winner was announced. It was Chris Joy Music. At Chris Joy Music won it. So congratulations, Chris Joy. I hope you enjoy it, man. Thank you for entering. Thank you to everybody who entered, who followed Guitar Dads Podcast, Copper Sound pedals. We're really happy to do this as a collaboration with those guys, and keep your eye out for some more things along these lines. But thank you again. Thank you for a lot of you wrote some kind words about the podcast on the as part of your entry to this. We really appreciate it. We weren't able to take those and bump those up to a little bit more, sorry to say. But it was a nice try on your part.
It was a nice try. Yeah, we appreciate it.
But thank you guys. We appreciate it.
What are we getting? Oh, by the way, if you want to support the show, please go over to patreon.com/Guitar Dads Podcast, where we have a multitude of tiers. You can support the show for as low as $1 a month, which that would really help us out and keep this thing going. Help us do more of these kinds of live streams and more giveaways for sure. And again, we are streaming this live. So
as little as $1.
As little, yes.
For as little as $1 a month, which is so much less than you spend on your coffees.
Well, unless you drink cheap coffee, and then you're kind of getting screwed, and B,
But if you don't drink coffee, it's kind of expensive. We get it. So
it is. Right. Anyway, but bear with us as we do this live stream, and it's maybe a little bit different than our weekly episode, but we're gonna have some fun. All right, we're heading into the Dataverse.
Here we go.
The Dataverse we go. All right, so it was as Matt said, there was a lot of stuff going on this week. A couple things from last week that we didn't get to. because we did get to have Joe Branton on from the Guitar Nerd. So go back and check that episode.
Oh yeah, that was
out.
fun. Joe's such a fun dude. That was a fun episode. Go check it out.
And if you don't know the Guitar Nerds podcast, like I said, you're living under a rock. So go check that out. But
the Guitar Nerds, for those of you that don't know, the Guitar Nerds is like one of the original podcasts. We didn't quite get into like Joe's origin story on it because
everybody knows.
Yeah, well, not everybody knows, but enough people know. But we thought it would just be fun to talk about gear and stuff with Joe. But yeah, I mean, the Guitar Nerds is one of the original guitar podcasts when you go back. It's probably one of the original, I would say, 10, that started the whole idea of a guitar podcast. So these guys are pioneers.
Yeah, man. They do a great job.
They do.
Anyway, but this news had hit last week. And so I wanted to bring it up now, but apparently, so we all know any Rush fan or any really music fan, that Neil Peart died. I forget what year, but it wasn't too long, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Which, for all intents and purposes, kind of ended Rush.
For all intensive purposes.
Not. Here we go. Very intense purposes.
Anyway, yeah, okay. So Neil Peart died. Rest in peace.
Neil Peart died, and he. But anyway, Geddy Lee, bassist lead singer, was interviewed lately and was and did allude to the fact that Rush in some capacity might tour again. And when I first read that, my initial thought is, but I mean, nobody. If anybody was the sound of Rush, you could almost argue that it was Peart, right? I mean, he was so important to that band and how iconic of a drummer he was and what he offered to that band. Yeah, I know Lifeson and all that. I'm going to get stomped in the comments.
I'm not a Rush fan, so I can't really comment on that. I mean, not that I'm not a fan. Like, I'm just not a big fan enough to even comment on this. But, I mean, to me, Rush is kind of, the sum of its parts. Yes, Neil is known as one of the greatest drummers of all time, if not the greatest rock drummer of all time.
That's my point.
Everybody held their own in this band, right? It's kind of like Zeppelin in that respect. Everybody was just exceptional in this band.
Oh, of course.
So, but what's going on? So Geddy is talking about a Rush tour happening.
I don't know if it's going to be in some kind of capacity of like I doubt it would be like a tour. Although there was another article that I read where he had been, and I think this might have been at the Taylor Hawkins tribute. Maybe I can't even remember where the heck it was, but this was mentioned in a different article that he was speaking with the great Paul McCartney, and Paul, of course, said, this is what we do. We tour. You have to go out and tour. And it just kind of tribute the music and tribute to Neil and that kind of stuff. And so we'll see. We'll see if that's what this is. I don't know. It's obviously he was such a big part of that band and a big part of the sound. Yep. I can't really make a really good analogy, but it's almost like you take like Steven Tyler out of Aerosmith and expect to tour with another singer. And everybody else is there. Well, minus Joey Kramer, but it's just not the same. It's not even anywhere near the same.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. But, Geddy's another one, though, that doesn't quite have the voice anymore, from what I understand. No. So, I mean, I don't have any real evidence of that. But, he doesn't really have the voice anymore. So, but Geddy,
None of them do, man.
But he did say, he came out. He came out and he said, he goes, look, don't count Rush out. You might be hearing from us. So, I mean, we'll just wait. So all you people that are massive Rush fans, maybe you're going to get your wish here. I don't know, but let us know what you think. I mean, sounds like it could be cool.
It could be very cool. I don't know. Neither one of us has seen Rush, but I probably wouldn't see this iteration of them, but anyway, moving on.
I'm not in a hurry to see Rush.
No. Anyway,
this is the Guitar Dad's. I'm not in a rush.
This is a Guitar Dad's play. Yeah, not a Jesus. Anyway, did you hear? Let's move on. Did you hear? Mannequin Pussy shared their new single recently. To which I say, who the fuck is Mannequin Pussy?
What the hell?
And I read that. And I'm like, my first question is, who?
What's that? What's that thing?
Question is,
yeah. No, go ahead.
What other crazy band names have we heard in the past? Because that's kind of a fun topic.
Well, there's Thunder Pussy, who's actually a really good band, who's actually
a fantastic band.
Kick-ass band. I mean, I don't know, man. There's like a gazillion crazy names out there. I mean,
but none like this.
Mannequin Pussy. Hey, you know, somebody obviously has a very weird fetish, or they work at like a pet store that has mannequin cats. It's either a fetish or they work at a pet store and they like sell pet clothing specifically for cats.
Oh man, which is equally as weird, but okay.
It is equally as weird, but you never know, you know.
You never know with people these days. Oh man, we are deep into the post Thanksgiving, like, you know, whatever you want to call it,
hangover,
just hangover craziness.
More than booze hangover, but
more than booze hangover.
Although I did drink a lot of nice Italian wine yesterday, so that's what.
Well, that's good, as you should. This made big news because AC/DC,
yes,
they were one of the big acts at the recent Power Trip Festival back in October in California. Obviously huge news because Brian Johnson had come back and we weren't sure if he was going to sing again because of his hearing difficulties.
Yeah.
But they made big news with their set. Apparently, from everything that I've read, it was unbelievable. And so, of course, that's going to spark rumors of, is there going to be an AC/DC tour?
I would love to see an AC/DC tour. Oh, man.
Now, Phil Rudd, the drummer, did miss the and I don't know why, but
I thought he was in jail.
No, that was
the original drummer.
That was the original, yeah.
Yeah.
But he did comment that he'd like to play with them again. And so, you know, cool. This, again, not the same kind of thing without Malcolm, but okay. And this would definitely be we have to go to see them if they come anywhere near Boston.
Oh, totally. But what's this about? They're going to play in Munich?
Yeah, this is the thing that kind of sparked it. There was whether there was actually going to be a tour or not, because the Munich mayor came out and confirmed that they were playing the Olympic. They're going to play the Olympic Stadium there on June 12th.
Oh, cool.
So I haven't seen anything else.
Well, it sounds like we got to get on a plane for June 12th.
Sounds like we're going to Munich. Yeah.
So it sounds like we're going to be there. I'm sure they get delicious beers and schnitzels.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm in for that. What else is going on?
So I wonder though, is this going to be like some of these other bands? Are they going to maybe they don't do a full on tour, but maybe they do festivals, right?
Yeah, I mean, they did
all the big Euro
trip,
festivals,
right? I mean, they did the Power Trip. I would love that if they do stuff like that. But man, they gotta go out on a tour, man. Maybe it is a farewell tour. Yes, it's not the same without Malcolm, but if you got Brian Johnson and Angus, you know, you got some heavy hitters there. So I say let's go for it and let's get a tour. I mean, they went on tour 7 years ago. Oh, no, now we're talking more like 8 years ago with Axl Rose, right? Remember that? When Brian Johnson had his issues, and it was right after the initial run that GNR did their first run, and then Axl Rose did their shows. So look, if Brian Johnson's up to it, you know Angus is up for it. You know he is.
You know Angus can do it. Absolutely.
You know
that's the thing. Can Brian Johnson now with his hearing issues and all that? I don't know. I mean, it's a question, you know, and I think if they do play more than festivals, this has got to be something we see.
Yeah, I love it. I love this
anyway, speaking of big tours and huge news, although since I put this in the show notes, something has changed with this. Apparently David Lee Roth has said he's in with the tour that Sammy is doing with, of course, Jason Bonham,
Michael Anthony.
Which Michael Anthony, of course, and what made big news with that in that camp was the addition of Joe Satriani, because this tour is going to be like all the deep cuts and the big Van Halen stuff.
Yeah. So
apparently Vic Johnson not out with them, you know?
Well, we didn't talk about this, Dave. Let's talk about it. We didn't, because we I think we had some guests on when this broke and we didn't get into it. But yeah, so Sammy has announced that they're going to go on essentially a Van Halen tribute tour with Joe Satriani.
Because nobody else is doing it.
Because no one else is doing it. with Joe Satriani on guitar. And Sammy went on Howard Stern with the whole gang, and Howard Stern asked him, like, if David Lee Roth wants to come on this tour, would you have him on? And he goes, absolutely, I'd have him come on. So that's interesting, right? So, I mean, Sammy seems down for this to happen. And, yeah, I mean, Vic is out because...
Well, that changed.
Yeah, so, okay, go ahead. So
that changed because apparently it got, David Lee Roth caught wind of all this and thought that Sammy invited him on the tour. And it turns out he did not. And Sammy has come out since then and said, no, I don't want him anywhere near this tour.
Oh, really? So despite what he said on Stern, he's now saying, no, I was just kidding about that on Stern.
There is stuff out there that is quoting Sammy as saying, no, he is not invited on this tour.
Interesting.
I did not invite him on this tour.
But you saw that clip.
I did see the clip. Did see the clip.
Oh, that's very interesting. Maybe DLR like got in touch with Sammy's camp and he's like, yeah, I want to be part of the tour and I want to do half the songs. And Sammy's like, wait a minute, man.
Wait a minute. Yeah. He put out all his demands and
but
Sammy's
like,
no.
Because I don't know if listeners...
I can still sing, you can't, so you're not doing
That's right, exactly. So you're not going to be able to come on this tour. But just in case listeners don't understand why Joe Satriani, the Satriani and Sammy connection, they had an awesome band with Chad Smith, a.k.a. Will Ferrell of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, called Chicken Foot. And they put out, 2 or 3 albums? 2, right, Dave? Two absolutely killer albums.
Killer.
Like if you think Joe Satriani is more of a shredder and he can't like play in a rock band and play the riffs and be that rock band lead guitarist, then you're wrong, because these 2 albums they put out with Chickenfoot, Dave and I actually saw them back in the early 2000s when they were doing this, and it was just kick ass. So
it
that's
was a hell of a
yeah. So that's the Joe Satriani connection. And of course, like if you're going to have somebody come and play Eddie, you want like the greatest guitarists in the world. And that's, Joe is one of them. Not to say that Vic Johnson, Sammy's longtime kind of guitarist that he's done other stuff with Sammy in the Circle. I mean, he does a lot of great justice to all the Van Halen songs they play out on that tour.
That's what kind of surprised me. I mean, I'm not knocking this at all. Don't get me wrong, but I was kind of surprised because we've seen them live.
Yeah.
And we've heard Vic do a ton of the Van Halen stuff. He really does it justice.
He kills it. So Joe Satriani, I think it's just higher profile that they're going to do this, and Joe's doing this as kind of a tribute to Eddie, which I think is awesome. But there's a little controversy that's going on. So again, this appearance on the Howard Stern show, Stern kind of like impromptu asked Joe, and that's what Stern does, which is why it's a fun time to watch. He's like, Joe, like, what's Eddie's like hardest riff to play? And Joe played it and kind of botched it heavily, but and now he's getting like, and it's called Mean Street is the riff. You guys probably know what it is. And he kind of botched it and he's getting a lot of shit for it, but it was like an impromptu thing. Like you can't expect, Joe Satriani, as amazing as he is, to just pull this stuff out of his ass, right? And Nuno Betancourt was recently on a YouTube podcast thing, and he's basically defending Joe, like, look, nobody can play like Eddie. Joe is amazing for what he is, but and I think the great point that Nuno made was, a great guitarist is being great, like at what you do, right? You're incredibly unique and you're great at what you do. It doesn't necessarily mean you can just play anything from anybody that ever lived, right? And that's, we had this conversation, I think we actually had this conversation with Pete Honore when Nuno actually came out and said something like, Slash isn't the best guy to go like on a tour with Rihanna or something like that. Remember that conversation, Dave?
Yeah.
Actually, we had Pete weigh in on that. So go listen to the Pete Honore episode. Another shameless plug for previous episodes of ours. But no, it's a cool.
But I just want to bring.
Cool episode. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
I did find an article on Blabbermouth here. So this all is confirmed. I want to read some quotes
World.
here. Yep. There's the way it went down, because I did, if you listen to the clip, you'll obviously hear more of it. But Sammy is quoted as saying, it's time. Nobody else is going to do it. If Dave goes out, he can't sing my stuff, but we can do a few of the early Van Halen songs. I have no problem with that. I did it when I was in Van Halen. This is really a celebration of all that. Yeah. We're the only ones who can do it. And then he continued on to say, we're going to invite every musician in town. First of all, wherever you can play, if there's a guitar player in town, no matter what city it is, they come out to see Joe, just like they used to for Eddie. So if we've got other guitar players, we'll get them involved. Other singers, get them involved. If Alex Van Halen wants to jump in, if David Lee Roth wants to come out and join us, come on, mother effer.
See,
you're welcome. This is about Van Halen, and then comes out and says, "No effing way is he invited on this tour."
I find that so
that
funny.
That is Sammy in a nutshell.
That is really effing funny. But, that's what it is. That's what it is. So, anyway.
So sorry for the long quote, but I think that was important for
I
context.
Think that's what it is.
Because
but to go back to the
Nuno... He did kind of invite him.
No, he did. But to go back to the Nuno thing, Nuno basically said, Joe Satriani's an amazing guitarist. You can't expect him. You got to give him a break on something like Mean Street. He goes on to say what a lot of guitarists say about Eddie, which was he had such pocket and such feel and such swing, meaning the timing, right? And he's talking specifically about the Mean Street riff. He said, it's very percussive. It's like you're playing the drums, right? He's like, you can't, that's not just something you can pull out of your ass. You have to, I'm paraphrasing the quotes here, but you have to sit down and really learn it and really understand what's going on. And he's like, I'm sure Joe can do that, but he just wasn't given the chance to do it. He was put on the spot. So, and Joe's getting all this flack. Poor Joe is getting all this flack. But it did get me thinking, Dave, who is, of the guitarists we know, who is the best choice? If you were going to go do an Eddie Van Halen tribute tour, who would you choose as the guitarist for Eddie Van Halen tribute tour?
Oh man, you know what? It's really funny. It's funny you asked me that because I've thought about this, and I think you just named him. I think Nuno Bettencourt is probably.
You would pick Nuno, yeah.
I think Nuno could totally do it.
So there's a couple.
If there's any, I'm not that Joe Satriani can't do it, but when you mentioned Joe can definitely do rock, we talked about Chickenfoot, but I think Nuno kind of has that, not to play on the name of the tour, but Nuno kind of has that best of both worlds style. He's been an extreme, can play tons of rock and shred at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of straddles that line between rock star and shredder. So I think he would be a perfect addition.
So I like that
to tribute Eddie.
I like that take. I'm going to go with a different take, which is, I think if you really want to do it right,
Dave Matthews.
No, not Dave Matthews. Satellite. No, not
off the rails.
Not Dave Matthews. My dreams. No. I would go. You know who I think could do it justice? Not saying they'd be better than Nuno or better than Joe, because I think you're right. You do need a big name out on a tour like this. But I think who could probably do a more accurate job. I'm going to name two names. One, Pete Thorne.
No, one. Give me one. Oh, Pete. Okay.
Two.
That's your one name. Nope. Sorry, you only get one.
No, the other one, Phil X.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Phil could do it.
Right.
Although I'm still in the Nuno camp.
I mean, go watch
because of what he can do.
Phil's Instagram when he's doing Van Halen licks. Go watch, because Pete Thorne. The reason I say this about Pete Thorne is I saw him. They just released the oh god, now I'm not going to know the pedal, but Universal Audio just released like one of their amp simulator pedals that's supposed to be like the
Eddie Van. Lion.
Is that what it's called?
Oh Lion? No. That is it. The Lion?
Yeah, it might be the Lion.
That's not the. I think it's the Lion.
It's supposed to give you like this like 80s rock sound, and Pete was demoing it, just doing insane Eddie Van Halen licks, and it's like, oh my god, this guy's unbelievable. But here's the thing. I think Dave and I are going to go see this tour. We're going to see Joe, and it's going to be kick ass.
Absolutely, we gotta check this out.
And that Gary Sharon's going to show up when they play in Boston.
Of course he will.
Because the last time we saw Sammy in Boston, Gary Sharon showed up.
I called it.
And don't forget, Gary Sharon was in Van Halen. Don't forget about this.
That's right. and some people believe was the best iteration of Van Halen. Yeah. If you can believe that, which is crazy to me.
The more I think about this, because of the Gary Sharon connection, it would be kind of cool if Nuno was there. Maybe Nuno will show up when we got to go to the Boston show, because maybe Nuno will show up.
I would not be shocked.
That would be cool.
Because I'm not going to be shocked.
That. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm excited about this. All right.
Well, it is Black Friday, and we are going to talk about some guitar gear and deals.
Okay. All right.
Shall we? Let's move on.
Okay. Here we go. So I clicked on the 40% off Guitar Center deals. Let's see what's a 40% off Guitar Center deal. You're going to be amazed by this. Gibson Les Paul Traditional Pro V Satin Electric Guitar for $17.99.
For how much?
Now.
Oh.
What? Okay. Too much for you? That's a good deal.
No, that's a good deal.
It says they're usually $2,500. Now, Dave, Dave, this is gonna tempt you like no tomorrow. Gibson Les Paul.
Is it cheap gear? Because yes, it will.
This is gonna tempt you. It's not cheap, but it's cheaper than we've seen. Gibson Les Paul Traditional Pro V Flame Top V. I think Pro 5. Is it V? It's not V. It's Pro 5, right? The 5th.
Pro 5. Yeah.
Yeah. The Pro 5 Flame Top electric guitar. Now, this was the exact one. This is the exact one we saw in Guitar Center with the, wait for it, transparent black finish.
Oh.
And it's discounted down to $2,500. I mean, this is your opportunity, Dave.
This is the trans. Yeah, but I don't want the trans black. I
thought you like it. I thought you love trans black.
I do. It would have to be a second guitar. See this, or second Les Paul, a second flamey Les Paul, because I do love the trans black. But yes, but I'm a big tobacco burst, and if I had to go secondary options, it would be more like, you know, a cherry, like a darker, like a heritage cherry, or like one of those.
They have a heritage cherry. They have a heritage cherry,
like a tea burst.
No, there's no tea.
Are really nice.
But $2,500 for a brand new Les Paul is a good deal.
It's great price.
Because we saw it for what, $3,100 around there. What do we see it for?
Yeah, 31, 32.
So that's a good deal.
It's great, but see, man, I'd have to. I couldn't. That would have to be an addition to the collection. I could not get rid of my guitar that I have now, unless, you know. Well, no, I couldn't. I am after the flame, but it has to be a certain type of flame.
All right, I'm just looking at the top deals that pop up for guitars. I'm going to keep listing them. So a Fender Player Strat for $649, HSS for $649. That's actually a pretty good deal, because they're up around $800 now. PRS
$899, I think.
The PRS SE hollow bodies are, I don't think that's $1,200. Yeah, they're usually $1,600. They're really, the SE hollow body piezo is up to $1,600 new now. It's an SE. Oh my god, that seems expensive, man. I'm sorry.
See what happens when Joe Walsh starts playing SEs?
That's a little ridiculous. The Fender Player Strat Maple Fretboard Limited Edition. This is just the all single coils, is $600. Pretty good deal right there.
Good deal. That's deal.
Pretty good. Let's see what else. Anything else exciting? No, everything else is not exciting.
Well, I've got some exciting gear for you. Now, these are not Black Friday deals, but we should talk about this stuff.
Oh, wait, hold on. Before you get into this, one thing that just tickled my fancy is the shell pink with tort guard Fender Player Stratocaster. I love that. That's like an exclusive Guitar Center color, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And it's sexy. So there you go.
Yeah, that is kind of sexy. Yeah, I'm not a huge shell pink fan, but that could tickle my fancy.
I listened to Guitar Nerds for way too many years, where all they did was talk about shell pink. So it kind of like excited me.
It's a good look,
but there's something about the shell pink with the tort guard I like.
It needs a tort guard. You can't go otherwise. You cannot do anything else. And you've seen them with other colored guards, and it just doesn't work.
I like it. All right. Anyway, go ahead.
Now, we've talked about Adam Jones, guitarist of Tool, has put out a number of releases
Let's
recently.
Talk about this.
So the reverse Silverburst Flying V is coming out now. People are up in arms now because of the headstock, because it's got like the Futura headstock. First of all, are you anti that headstock? Is there going to be like a return of this?
No, I'm not necessarily against that headstock. Now, I'm not a historian.
Or do you need like a traditional V headstock?
Yeah. If I was going to buy a V, I would. Do I like this color? I love the color.
Love it.
I love it.
You got 20 grand.
But we're talking. Yeah, this is a $20,000 guitar. This is ridiculous. It's just absolutely totally ridiculous. You're gonna and this is the thing. Adam Jones prefers heavy guitars. His Les Paul standard, like they're like 10 plus pounds. Not a standard, the custom Silverburst one I'm talking about. He like prefers heavier things. So the custom shop goes and sources. Now this is the absolute reverse of what the custom shop always does. The custom shop intentionally sources lighter weight mahogany for all the Les Pauls, because 59 Les Pauls and 58s and everything were traditionally lighter weight because they sourced the lightest weight back in the day. And that's still a thing. Like if you go look at the average weight of an R9, it's much less than, your standards, right? So so something to think about there. But he really, Adam Jones really likes heavy guitars. So you're going to get a really heavy V if this is your thing, right? But this is like a ridiculous rich heavy collector thing, 20 grand.
For 20, exactly. 20 grand, it's a little bit.
It's dumb. Now,
I mean, you're not getting much. You're not getting much for that price.
Now, if they put out a Gibson USA version like they did with his Les Paul, yeah, I mean, I'm really interested in it. You're right. The headstock is a little bit tough for me, but if they put out a Gibson USA version of this, I will be slightly tempted by it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, did they get away from that for a reason, or is this going to bring a return? And I think I don't know.
Well, isn't that so? So I don't know the history on this. We need to be schooled on this, but for some reason, Dean guitars, when they made all their Vs, like the that famously Dimebag Darrell used, they all had that headstock style, right? Which I think originally was a Gibson headstock style, but I don't have it up in front of me. I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, there was a time where they were.
Yeah, wasn't it? I think it was when the Explorers were coming out. That might have been like the initial Explorer headstock.
I don't know. Is that true? Yeah, I don't know.
That might be true. That might not be true.
It might be true. It might not be true.
Philip, do I know what I'm talking about?
I think this 70s flying Vs didn't have that headstock, and maybe it really was, because like anything I Google up with a Gibson 70s era flying V has the traditional Gibson era, the Gibson, like the pointed flying V headstock. So I don't know. So is that only a Futura, the Fender Futura headstock? Is that all it is? I don't know.
I think that's what that is. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
Okay. So it was so that headstock was never on a V. Is that true?
It might have. Maybe it was never. I don't know if it was never on a V. I'm not really educated at that level, but I do know that doesn't belong. That's not a headstock that you normally see on the V.
No, but you do. But here's what's so interesting is you did see it on the V, on the Dean Vs. So somehow Dean Guitars took it and ran with it. But the Futura, which is like and you're exactly right. I'm just Wikipedia-ing Futura. So Futura is
cheating.
Is this kind of like exaggerated Explorer, and they had that headstock on it. So and they did
back in the day, in
1957, and apparently they made them 1996 through 2008. So that's quickly.
So there you go.
Wikipedia for you all, for you listeners. So okay, yeah, now, I think it's cool. I do think it's cool. I will be tempted by the USA version, as I said before. So,
Matt, we are going to start blowing minds, right? As yours was blown as well. We're going to be talking about Greeny.
Okay.
And you were
you just went out. You just
blown out of your seat.
Wait! You just went out on me for a second on the thing. You just
I went out on you.
Yeah, you just
the Epiphone Greeny.
Okay, you want to talk about the Epiphone Greeny? Let's talk about the Epiphone Greeny,
which blew you out of your seat when you saw the price.
Well, here's the thing. Let's be honest. You want my take on it?
Yes.
Okay. So,
no, I'm asking because I don't really want you to.
So here's the deal with the Greeny. I think $1,500 for a semi-historic recreation of what probably is the most legendary 59 Les Paul. Yeah.
Man, sorry, those sound effects are very delayed on Riverside. My apologies,
Dave, I'm not
folks.
hearing the sound effects, so make sure you're hitting live on the sound effects.
It is live, yeah.
It says live.
I think that you.
I didn't hear
maybe
it.
yeah. Me, you know what? You guys didn't hear that sound effect. In fact, I don't know if anybody heard any of the sound effects.
No. If you didn't hit live, I had that same problem when we started using this.
You know,
hit
this
live.
Is a good one. We're going back to this. We are going to go in and blow some.
There we go.
Talk about the Epiphone Greeny.
Thank you.
There we go. Let's do it all over again.
I heard that.
Build, yeah.
Okay, so the Epiphone Greeny. So as I was saying, I think this is an incredibly cool thing they're doing. I think for $1,500, yes, it's pricey, but you're getting a recreation of one of the most iconic guitars in the world, the most iconic 59 Les Paul. So, I mean, for $1,500 to own that, who knows how long they're going to be making them. It's pretty cool. It is cool that you get the Epiphone headstock. That is incredibly sorry. You get the book,
Gibson
you
headstock.
Get the open book
Gibson headstock.
Gibson headstock on an Epiphone. Now, I think if you're really interested in this, you get the Gibson USA. You don't get the Epiphone because it says Epiphone on it, and that's dumb to me. Also, I
would agree with you.
I'd be interested.
Like the headstock just looks weird to look like a Gibson headstock and to say Epiphone.
Yeah, it's dumb.
I just don't understand.
It's just for people that really don't want to come up with the money for the Gibson USA. Fine. We talked about this with Joe Brenton. I really feel like Epiphone way over lacquer stuff, so it's not going to play as nice. It's going to be sticky. Look, you can get over that. Put some sandpaper on the neck and be done with it. You could do
or
that.
Just play it.
Yeah, or just play it. That's just a personal preference thing. To me, it's a little bit weird. I mean, this whole thing is a personal preference thing. To me, it's a little bit weird.
No, it's not like it's fact.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool, but for me personally, I would opt for the Gibson. They do make a Gibson USA one. Am I mistaken on that, or they do? I think they do, right, Dave?
I thought they did.
Yeah, I thought they did. Go ahead, give me your take on it.
Well, no, I think you really hit the nail on the head. The pricing, man. I know you're getting some extra extra little bits here on this guitar, and for the price, is it really worth it? I don't think so. I don't think it should be at that price range. I mean, you got to look back at some of these other artist releases, like the Lazarus from Joe Bonamassa. And some other releases. That's
actually a really good point. Joe charges similar prices for his kind of reissue Epiphones that they do. So
well, when the Lazarus came out, wasn't the Lazarus was like $999 or like $1,009?
Yeah, his don't come in quite at the 15 mark.
I mean $1,099. Yeah,
no, they're usually in the 11 to 1,200 mark, and I think now they're up to like 1,300. His whatever he reissues from Epiphone. So I am looking at the Gibson USA version right now. It's $3,200.
Yeah, which coming in about $3,200.
I mean, but for $3,200, you're getting a really beautifully made guitar, handmade by Gibson. Oh, by the way, just as an aside, not to get too far off on a tangent, Andertons, our buddies over there, Lee and Pete, they just did an amazing series of factory tours of Gibson, both Gibson USA and Gibson Custom Shop, and had a really in-depth discussion with Murphy from the Murphy Lab. Go check out those videos if you really want to get a sense of how these things are made and the care that goes into them. When I watched all 2 hours of the Gibson USA walkthrough, and let me tell you, you watch that walkthrough, you watch the effort and time that goes into these guitars, and you think like, wow, $3,200 might be a bargain for what I'm getting for these people in America actually making at American wages.
It is a very good point.
So it's like people want to complain that Gibson's too expensive. They're doing the bind. Everybody knows this, but they go over it again. The binding is incredibly labor intensive. Setting the neck properly is incredibly labor intensive. Yes, these things are made in CNC. Yes, they're plecked. I would argue plecked is superior, right? Because inevitably, if you do every single guitar by hand, people are going to get tired. They're just doing it at a volume that they they need to employ a lot more people. The guitar would need to be a lot more expensive if they were doing everything.
It'd be 10
by
times
hand.
more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is just an aside to say that I think that the Gibson prices for what they are, you're getting a lot of guitar for the money. But back to the Epiphone, I think for $1,500, you're getting the Gibson USA pickups. Am I wrong about that, Dave? Do you have the specs in front of you?
You are, but so let me just I wanted that kind of dovetails into
okay, go ahead.
why I was about to make a comment. When the Lazarus came out, now I know let's get on the same page here. We're not talking about the same guitar.
No.
Okay. But when the Bonamassa Lazarus came out, it came out in $899. Okay. So you're talking about nearly double the price for
really, that's all it was $899.
$899. So are you really getting? My question would be, yes, it's a higher quality guitar. Yes, you're getting some higher end components to it. Are you getting double the guitar? I don't think so. Obviously, this is priced because of hype as well.
Yeah. Oh, totally. It's all hype.
Of course.
But you are getting. Does the Joe Bonamassa Lazarus have Gibson USA pickups in it? I think it does, right?
I will check on that, but if you want to keep on chit-chatting about the Greeny,
I'm looking at the USA one. It has Les Paul Standards Greeny Bucker pickups to create the exact tone with the flipped magnet. You got to have the flip magnet if you want that out of phase thing. It's really cool. I'm wondering if is the Greeny more of a 59, like a better 59 reissue than the standard 50s Les Paul? I mean, I think not really. I mean, is the neck different? This is what I can't quite suss out.
Ask the question again. I was just looking at the Lazarus.
I know you were looking at
Lazarus electronics. Let me just answer that question real quick. You are getting the Gibson Burstbucker 2 and 3, so in the Lazarus.
Burstbuckers. Okay, so you're getting Burstbuckers, which are like what come in the Les Paul standards, right? So that's pretty cool. A standard production.
So again, are you getting the double guitar?
Mahogany body. Of course, mahogany body. Come on, man.
Plastic bodies.
I wonder about the neck on these. Like, are they recreating the Greeny neck? They must be. I don't know that much about the Greeny neck. It says here in the suite.
You got to assume they would be, wouldn't it?
It says mahogany neck in a chunky 50s vintage profile. But we all know the 59 chunky is not the 58 chunky, right? So there's two different things.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, this is a very polarizing guitar because of obviously what it is and the price point they're coming in at and what you're being offered. I certainly think that there's definitely value, absolutely value there, especially if you value more like, vintage style guitars and guitars that have like a story to them. And this certainly does.
It is cool.
I think there's that value in paying that kind of price because it's really not that much more than other guitars at that level and other artist guitars. So, and this is
it is cool.
This kind of exceeds that echelon. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reading the specs on the Epiphone. Greeny USA, Gibson USA Greeny Buckers. So you are getting the same pickups in this Epiphone that you would get in the Gibson USA version of
in the Gibson USA. You are
getting the same one. So that's kind of cool. I mean,
we talked about that in the Facebook group at Guitar Dads Podcast. Come join the group. We talked about that. Is there so there's that value there, but is that doesn't bring you to the $1,600 range?
No, it doesn't.
And I'm not trying to get. No, we're not trying to we're not apples to apples, and we're not trying to get in like to the exact dollar and say is the value there. But I'm just saying, like, are you really? You're not. Obviously, some of that is hype.
Yeah, no, some of it is definitely hype, and look. But it's a special guitar. It's the first Epiphone in maybe a long, long time where you're seeing the open book headstock, the Gibson headstock. It's kind of cool. And, Epiphone, then there was rumors. What was the article, Dave, that they came out and said that they'd be willing to do more custom Epiphones, not custom Epiphones,
so they said
custom Epiphones or something.
The limited custom, the like the quote unquote custom shop Epiphones, you know, those kinds of things, they're going to be putting the Gibson headstock on them.
Okay.
So again, you know, obviously in every industry, in every market of the world, you know, hype can drive market price. So if the market demands that this is what the market's going to bear for this, then that's what it is, you know?
Yeah.
But what I will tell you is that it would be interesting to see what happens in the future with some of these releases, because now you're setting the bar. You're setting the bar at a price point. Are they going to start releasing these things above that $1,600 price point?
Yeah.
You know,
great
will
question.
people start seeing the value in that? I don't know.
Well, you know, I just saw a PRS SE on sale for $1,300. So there's that.
Yeah.
I mean,
sale.
PRS is doing
on
it.
sale.
I know, seriously. PRS is selling 1,500 plus, you know, Asian made guitars, you know, why can't Gibson? Right?
So I think what we're saying on the Guitar Dads podcast is, if there's a guitar out there that you love, go buy it now, because next year it's going to be like 10 times the amount. Well, maybe not that much, but you know.
Yeah. So
you get what I'm saying.
What else we got today, Dave?
I don't know. So I haven't really talked about because you had convinced me to get because I was looking for a nighttime solution. We talked about this.
Yeah.
And you ended up pushing me into the Stomp, and I'm very pleased.
Oh yeah.
I love the HX Stomp. I have not done the update, but that's what I wanted to talk about, because you have. I've seen there's some mixed stuff out there with the updates. Most people love it. Some people not impressed.
Not impressed about what?
They just don't. From what I've seen in comments in boards, some people don't think that there was enough to really impress them with this update.
What do you think,
obviously,
Dave?
those are the people.
What do you think?
I think I haven't done the update.
What the hell? What is wrong with you?
Because, as I told you, my cable got stolen.
You idiot.
So here's the story. I went and
It's not
picked
your
up. I went to
fault,
get
but-
my cable. It's not my fault. I pick up the Amazon package on my front porch, and the thing is open, and there's nothing inside.
What,
The
Dave? When
cable's
is it due to arrive?
Tomorrow.
Okay, if it doesn't
So I
arrive,
will
call
do the
me and
updates.
you can borrow my freaking USB cable. Okay.
I'm not driving all the way over there for that.
Well, I mean, you
I'll
want
wait
to
till it
try the
shows up.
Amplified Nation in more detail, so you can if you want.
That's true.
You could come over.
That's true.
You know, it's up to you.
I could. Well, we should have done a live stream from your house tonight, like live at Matt's house, like live at Daryl's house. We should talk about that too.
Just so listeners know, Dave and I live like 25 minutes apart, and we maybe see each other like, I don't know, not even once a month in person. Like once every.
It's kind of crazy.
Like once every
Not
couple
very
of
often.
months. Oh man.
Which, if you ask me, is too much.
Yeah, it's too much.
But
It's
anyway,
true.
I
don't
digress.
we don't want to. So anyway, so
what do you think about the update?
So here's the thing. I mean, look, you gotta admit, like these people that are complaining about the update, it's freaking free. You bought it.
No, wait a minute.
It's free.
Truth be told, there is one out of the entire update. There really is one crown jewel for you.
Talking about looking at a
you know,
gift horse in the mouth. I mean, this is what does that even mean, by the way? Anyway,
I don't even know what that means.
talking about looking at gift, this thing is free, and you people have to complain about it. You know what? Then if you're going to complain about free updates,
Then don't download
then
it.
don't download it, and don't even own a Helix. Go own a freaking Quad Cortex and see how often they update that, which is never. Oh, by the way, speaking of Quad Cortex, not to be down on Neural DSP, but they finally released the editing software for the It does deserve an applause, because they finally released the editing software for the Quad Cortex. The Quad Cortex has been out for like 2 years, and you couldn't even edit it through your computer. I mean, this is ridiculous, Quad Cortex and Neural DSP. Step it up. Meanwhile, Line 6 is releasing fire updates left and right. So look,
I know.
Line 6, the greatest. So they release a bunch of different Line 6 original amps, and they release a bunch of different pedal things on this update. by far for me, the greatest thing they've released is the feedbacker, which is kind of like the Digitech Freakout.
Yes, you like that, huh?
We talked a little bit with Joe Branton. Well, you got to understand, when you're in a band like I'm in, where you're on in-ears and you're all direct, you miss that feedback.
You miss the feedback.
Loud.
Yeah.
So what I did is I set it up like we talked about with Joe. I set it up on a momentary latch, not latching completely. You just have to hold the button down.
Yeah.
So like when you're holding a note,
you let go, it goes away.
When you're holding a note or you're holding a chord, you just hit that button and you get that feedback, and it sounds natural and it's freaking really cool. And I love it. And second, they came out with another JCM 800 model, which is the 2203, which is a different version of
this is the crown jewel for you. I was talking about. This
thing sounds. Now, look, I've never been happy, just full disclosure, I've never been happy with any of the Marshall sounds I've heard in Line 6. Sorry, Line 6. Well, maybe some of the Plexi stuff is okay, but I've never been happy with any of the JCM 800 sounds. This does it, and it sounds freaking great, and Line 6 is knocking out of the park with this. So if you're a JCM 800 person and you want that sound, it's called the 2203. It sounds fantastic. So go do it. So, and that's my review of the there's other things, but I haven't really gotten into them yet. There you go. So,
well, there you go. Well, that was a dare I say post Thanksgiving stuffed Guitar Dads episode. Anyway, so we'll probably wrap it there, but we thank you for listening. We thank our loyal listeners that come back each and every week. We love you guys. Thanks for coming and checking us out. If you're new to the podcast, we hope you enjoyed this. Again, this was live streamed on Facebook, so you can come if you want to watch the video.
Yeah, go watch it.
I don't know why, but if you want to, go watch it at Guitar Dads Podcast. And you can find us on Instagram at Guitar Dads Podcast as well, where we just did a big giveaway with Copper Sound pedals, as we talked about at the beginning of the episode, and we are going to probably do some future giveaways. So definitely you don't want to miss out on those. So go join Facebook and get into the group, and go follow us on Instagram so you don't miss a beat.
Who gives you giveaways?
And of course,
sorry, Dave. Who gives you giveaways of the hottest pedals out there? Limited edition hottest pedals.
That's right.
The Guitar Dads, your boys here.
The Guitar Dads.
Anyway.
That's right. Anyway, and if you want to support us at a bigger level, you can go over to patreon.com/Guitar Dads Podcast, where we have a multitude of tiers. If you want to support us, that really helps drive this thing and keeps us going.
Yeah.
And, it's
powered by Riverside FM.
There you go.
What are you doing? An advertisement for Riverside on the podcast? They didn't pay for that.
Well, if you are a patron, you will help pay for
That's you're paying
the stuff we do to bring you the show. Anyway, but yeah, as you could tell, it was definitely a post-Thanksgiving Black Friday kind of vibe. We hope we brought you some interesting information. And Matt, anything else?
That's all we got.
All right. Well, that was this week's Guitar Dad